Elisha, a key figure in the biblical narrative, was recognized as the successor of the great prophet Elijah. This designation was not merely ceremonial, it came with significant spiritual empowerment that enabled Elisha to perform remarkable miracles. The moment Elijah cast his mantle over Elisha was transformative. It symbolized the passing of prophetic authority and the bestowal of divine power. The double portion of Elijah's spirit that Elisha received was not just a blessing, it was a commissioning for a profound mission ahead. This transition marked a pivotal point in Israel's spiritual landscape, as Elisha stepped into a role that would see him lead and guide the people through tumultuous times. The miracles that Elisha performed during his ministry were clear indicators of his divine appointment. He healed the sick, raised the dead, and provided for the needy, each act serving as a testament to God's presence among his people. The authority that Elisha wielded was not for personal glory, but rather to reaffirm God's covenant with Israel. His actions pointed back to the very essence of Elijah's ministry, reinforcing the idea that God was still actively involved in the lives of his people. Elisha's role was crucial, as he not only carried forward Elijah's legacy, but also expanded upon it, demonstrating that the power of God was not confined to one prophet alone. Elisha's miracles often showcased a deeper theological significance. For instance, when he parted the waters of the Jordan River, it echoed the earlier miracles of Moses and Joshua, solidifying his role as a leader chosen by God to guide his people. Each miracle was a reminder of God's faithfulness and his ability to intervene in human affairs. Elisha's life encapsulated the essence of prophetic ministry, which was to be a conduit of God's grace and power. The double portion he received was not just for show. It was a divine endorsement of his mission to restore hope and faith in Israel. Furthermore, the relationship between Elijah and Elisha serves as an intriguing study in mentorship and succession. Elijah, with all his might and fervor, found in Elisha a worthy successor who would carry on the work of prophetic ministry. This dynamic highlights the importance of mentorship in spiritual leadership, where the older generation passes the torch to the younger, ensuring that the mission continues. Elisha's to embrace this calling speaks volumes about his character and dedication to God's work. He was not merely a follower, he was a willing participant in the divine plan, eager to fulfill his role as God's prophet. In conclusion, Elisha's recognition as the successor of Elijah marked the beginning of a significant chapter in the history of Israel. His receipt of a double portion of Elijah's spirit confirmed his authority and equipped him for the miraculous works that lay ahead. Through his ministry, Elisha demonstrated the ongoing nature of God's involvement with his people, showcasing that divine power is ever present and accessible to those who faithfully serve him. Elisha's divine calling is a remarkable narrative that begins in the simplicity of the fields where he was plowing when Elijah approached him. This moment was not just an incidental encounter, it was a pivotal event that would alter the course of his life forever. The act of Elijah throwing his mantle over Elisha symbolized the divine selection and the weight responsibility that Elisha was about to shoulder. It was a call to leave behind the ordinary and step into the extraordinary realm of prophetic ministry. Elisha's response to this call was immediate and profound. He recognized the significance of the moment and acted decisively. The symbolism of the mantle is rich in meaning. It represented authority, identity, and the anointing of God. When Elisha accepted the mantle, it was not merely an acceptance of a role. It was a commitment to dedicate his life to serving God and his people. This act of surrender was crucial, as it indicated that Elisha was ready to abandon his former life and embrace the mission that lay ahead. The narrative captures the essence of divine calling, which often requires individuals to step out of their comfort zones and into the unfamiliar, guided by faith and conviction. Moreover, the act of plowing in the fields is illustrative of Elisha's character and work ethic. He was not a man who sought glory or prominence. Rather, he was diligent and committed to his tasks. This background of hard work and humility prepared him for the significant challenges he would face as a prophet. The transition from a farmer to a prophet underscores the transformative power of God's calling. It shows that God often chooses ordinary individuals, equipping them for extraordinary purposes. Elisha's journey is a testament to the fact that divine calling can come in unexpected ways, often when one is engaged in the routine of life. The call of Elisha also emphasizes the importance of readiness to respond to God's invitation. His willingness to leave everything behind and follow Elijah demonstrates a deep understanding of priorities. Elisha recognized that the call of God was paramount, surpassing even familial and social obligations. This readiness to respond is a crucial aspect of faith, as it requires trust in God's plan and the courage to take the leap into the unknown. Elisha's journey reflects the essence of discipleship, where the call to follow God often demands sacrifice and a resolute heart. Ultimately, Elisha's divine calling marks the beginning of a profound relationship with God, characterized by obedience and faithfulness. His life serves as an example for many who seek to understand their purpose and calling. The story of Elisha reminds us that God's call is not limited to the elite or the powerful. It is extended to anyone willing to listen, respond, and embark on a journey of faith. Through his obedience and commitment, Elisha became a powerful instrument of God's will, impacting the lives of countless individuals and shaping the course of Israel's history. As Elijah prepared to ascend to heaven, a pivotal moment arose in which Elisha boldly requested a double portion of his spirit. This moment encapsulates the essence of Elisha's faith and the depth of his desire to continue the work of his mentor. It was a profound request that carried significant implications, not just for Elisha, but also for the future of prophetic ministry in Israel. This petition was more than a simple request. It was a manifestation of Elisha's understanding of the weighty responsibility he was about to assume. He sought not only the power of Elijah, but also the anointing to fulfill the mission God had placed before him. The double portion request can be seen as symbolic of Elisha's recognition of the challenges that lay ahead. He understood that the mantle of prophetic leadership came with great trials and tribulations. By asking for a double portion, Elisha was not merely seeking greater power, he was expressing a desire for deeper spiritual insight and strength to navigate the complexities of his calling. This moment signifies the importance of asking for empowerment when stepping into significant roles. Elisha's petition echoes a timeless truth, that those who are called to lead must continually seek God's strength and guidance. Elijah's response to Elisha's request is also telling. He acknowledged the weight of the request and indicated that it would only be given if Elisha remained steadfast in his commitment. This exchange highlights the seriousness of prophetic ministry and the necessity of perseverance in the face of challenges. Elisha's willingness to endure the trials of witnessing Elijah's ascension demonstrated his dedication and readiness to embrace the mantle of leadership. The spiritual journey is often marked by testing, and Elisha's request for a double portion was a commitment to endure and thrive amid adversity. Furthermore, the request for a double portion serves as a reminder of the continuity of God's work through generations. Elisha's desire to carry on Elijah's legacy reflects the importance of succession in spiritual leadership. The transfer of authority and anointing is a theme throughout Scripture, emphasizing that God's work does not cease with one individual but continues through faithful servants. Elisha's petition is a testament to the heart of a true leader who seeks to expand the impact of God's ministry, ensuring that the work of the kingdom moves forward. In the end, Elisha received what he asked for, a double portion of Elijah's spirit. This divine response confirmed Elisha's place as a prophet of God and equipped him for the incredible works that lay ahead. His story serves as an inspiration for those who seek to serve God with their whole hearts. The request for a double portion is a powerful reminder that when we step into our calling, we can boldly ask for the empowerment necessary to fulfill God's purposes in our lives. Elisha's faith and determination exemplify the essence of spiritual leadership, where one's desire for God's presence and guidance becomes the foundation for a fruitful ministry. One of Elisha's earliest miracles was the purification of the waters of Jericho, a powerful demonstration of his prophetic authority. The city of Jericho had long been known for its cursed waters, which led to sickness and death among its inhabitants. When the people approached Elisha, they expressed their desperate need for healing and restoration. This moment was significant, as it highlighted the role of the prophet as a mediator between God and the people. Elisha's response was immediate. He took the necessary steps to transform the waters, showcasing the power of God to bring life where there had been death. The act of purifying the waters involved a simple yet profound gesture. Elisha took a new bowl, filled it with salt, and cast it into the spring of waters. This seemingly mundane action was imbued with divine significance. The salt represented God's purifying power, and by using it, Elisha was demonstrating that God could transform even the most dire circumstances. This miracle not only restored the physical waters, but symbolically represented the restoration of hope and life to the people of Jericho. It served as a reminder that God could intervene in the most challenging situations, bringing healing and renewal. In a rather striking incident, the prophet Elisha encountered a group of youths who mocked him, calling out, "Get out of here, Baldy." Now, one might think that this was just typical youthful exuberance, but Elisha's reaction was quite serious. Instead of ignoring the taunts, he turned around, looked at them, and cursed them in the name of the Lord. This act was not just a spontaneous reaction. It was deeply rooted in the understanding of the respect that prophets commanded. In those times, prophets were seen as the mouthpieces of God, and their authority was to be taken seriously. By mocking Elisha, these youths were not just being disrespectful, they were challenging the divine authority he represented. The consequences of their actions were severe. 2 bears emerged from the forest and mauled 42 of the youths. This event stands out as a sobering reminder of the seriousness of mocking sacred figures and the potential repercussions of such behavior. It serves as a cautionary tale that disrespect can lead to dire outcomes, especially when it involves those who serve God. The incident also reflects a cultural and spiritual lesson. Honoring spiritual leaders is essential for maintaining a community's moral and ethical standards. Moreover, this event illustrates the weight of prophetic authority in ancient Israel. Elisha's response, though seemingly harsh, underscores the importance of maintaining respect for God's chosen servants. This story has echoed through generations, reminding believers that God does not take lightly the mockery or derision of those he has appointed to guide his people. The underlying message is clear. Disrespect towards God's prophets is taken very seriously and can lead to serious consequences. In a broader context, this incident also highlights the challenges faced by spiritual leaders. They often encounter skepticism, ridicule, and disrespect from various segments of society. Elisha's experience serves as a reminder that standing firm in one's faith and authority often comes with challenges. It requires a strong sense of purpose and unwavering commitment to the divine mission, even in the face of adversity. For the youth involved, their actions resulted in a tragic lesson about boundaries and respect that they likely would never forget. Ultimately, this episode is a striking testament to the significance of reverence in spiritual matters. It serves as a reminder that the role of a prophet is not merely a position of honor, but comes with immense responsibility. The youth's mockery and Elisha's subsequent reaction underscore the vital importance of respect within the spiritual community, reinforcing that God's messengers deserve honor and reverence, reflecting the divine authority they carry. One of the most touching miracles performed by Elisha was the multiplication of oil for a widow in dire need. This woman, whose husband had died, found herself in a precarious situation. She was in debt, and creditors were threatening to take her 2 sons as slaves to satisfy the outstanding amounts. With no means to pay off the debts, she turned to the prophet Elisha for help, expressing her desperation and helplessness. This moment showcases the human condition, how easily one can find themselves in situations beyond their control, where hope seems lost. Elisha, moved by her plight, asked her what she had in her house. Her response was simple: only a small jar of oil. This is where the miracle began. Elisha instructed her to collect empty vessels from her neighbors, as many as she could gather, and then pour the oil from her small jar into these vessels. The act of faith was significant. She had to believe that a small amount of oil could miraculously fill many jars. As she began pouring, the oil kept flowing until every vessel was filled. This miraculous multiplication not only met her immediate need, but also provided enough to sell and settle her debts, allowing her to keep her sons. This miracle speaks volumes about divine provision and the importance of faith during times of distress. It reminds us that even in our most desperate moments, help can come from unexpected places. The widow's faith, although she may have felt hopeless, acted as a catalyst for God's miraculous provision. It's a powerful illustration of how God can take what little we have and multiply it for his purposes when we place our trust in him. Moreover, this story reflects the principle that God cares about our practical needs, not just our spiritual ones. The widow's situation was urgent. She needed immediate assistance to avoid losing her sons. Elisha's response highlights the compassionate nature of God. He is not indifferent to our struggles. Instead, he actively seeks to provide for us, often in ways we cannot foresee. It also emphasizes the importance of community, as the widow was instructed to gather vessels from her neighbors, illustrating how we can rely on one another in times of need. In a contemporary context, this miracle can inspire many. Financial struggles, debt, and personal crises are ever present in today's world. The story of the widow serves as a reminder that faith can lead to miraculous outcomes, and that God's provision often comes through creative and unexpected means. When faced with our own difficulties, we can take comfort in the belief that, like the widow, we can turn to God and expect His intervention, trusting that He has the ability to multiply our meager resources into abundance. The story of the resurrection of the Shunammite's son is one of the most dramatic and poignant miracles attributed to Elisha. This woman, a prominent figure in her community, had shown great kindness to Elisha by providing him with a room in her home whenever he passed through Shunem. In gratitude, Elisha prophesied that she would bear a son despite her husband's advanced age. This miraculous birth was a joyous occasion for the couple, highlighting God's grace and favor. However, tragedy struck when the boy grew older and suffered a fatal illness. The Shunammite woman, devastated by the loss of her son, sought out Elisha in a desperate bid for help. Her journey to find him was filled with hope and determination, showcasing her unwavering faith. Upon reaching Elisha, she expressed her anguish, questioning why she had been given a son only to lose him so soon. Her pain was palpable, and it was clear that she believed Elisha was her last hope. Elisha responded with compassion and urgency. He sent his servant ahead to the boy, but the initial efforts to revive him were unsuccessful. This moment could have been disheartening for the woman, yet her faith remained steadfast. Elisha himself then went to the boy, laying himself on the child and praying fervently. The power of prayer and the prophetic ministry were on full display as Elisha sought God's intervention. After a series of attempts, the boy was miraculously revived, bringing both relief and joy to his mother. This miracle emphasizes the themes of faith, hope, and divine intervention in the face of death. The Shunammite woman's unwavering belief in Elisha's prophetic power underscores the importance of faith during the darkest moments of our lives. It serves as a reminder that even in our deepest despair, hope can lead to miraculous outcomes. The resurrection of her son not only restored her family, but also solidified Elisha's position as a true prophet of God, demonstrating that God has authority over life and death. Furthermore, this story resonates on multiple levels. It speaks to the universal experience of loss and the profound impact it can have on individuals and families. The Shunammite woman's journey from despair to hope is a testament to the transformative power of faith. It encourages us to seek help, lean on our beliefs, and remain hopeful, even when faced with seemingly insurmountable challenges. The miracle of the Shunammite's son serves as a beacon of hope for all who believe, reminding us that miracles can and do happen, often when we least expect them. In a broader sense, this account also highlights the role of community and the importance of supporting one another in times of crisis. The Shunammite woman's relationship with Elisha illustrates how our actions can have significant ripple effects in the lives of others. Her generosity and kindness toward Elisha ultimately led to her own miraculous experience. This story encourages us to be mindful of how we treat others, as our compassion and support can pave the way for hope and healing in the lives of those around us. During a time of famine, the situation was dire for many in the community. The people were struggling to find enough food to eat, and desperation was setting in. It was in this context that Elisha found himself surrounded by a group of men who were hungry and in need of nourishment. They had gone out to gather herbs in the wild, hoping to create a meal that would sustain them. However, in their haste and lack of knowledge, they inadvertently gathered poisonous plants, leading to a potentially disastrous situation. When the men returned with the gathered ingredients, they began to prepare the stew, unaware of the peril that lay within. As they sat down to eat, it quickly became apparent that something was terribly wrong. The food was toxic, and panic ensued among the men as they realized the gravity of their mistake. They cried out to Elisha, seeking his guidance and intervention. This was a moment that called for divine intervention, and Elisha was ready to step in. Elisha, with his unwavering faith in God, took charge of the situation. He instructed them to bring him some flour, which he then added to the pot of toxic stew. It was a simple act, yet it carried profound significance. The flour symbolized God's provision and power to transform the dire circumstances into something good. As Elisha prayed and acted, the stew was miraculously purified. When the men tasted the stew again, they were astonished to find it safe to eat. The poison had been removed, and what was once a life-threatening meal had become nourishing food. This incident not only highlighted Elisha's prophetic authority, but also served as a reminder of God's constant presence in the lives of his people, even in the most challenging times. The experience reinforced their faith and trust in God, as it was a clear demonstration of his ability to intervene in their daily needs. The purification of the poisonous stew stands as a powerful testament to the themes of hope and divine provision. In moments of crisis, when all seems lost, Elisha's actions remind us that faith can lead to miraculous outcomes. This event not only salvaged the lives of the men who were on the brink of disaster, but also reinforced the belief that God cares for his people and is willing to provide for them, even in the most desperate situations. Naaman, a high-ranking commander of the Syrian army, was a man of great stature and success, but he had a problem that overshadowed his achievements. He was afflicted with leprosy. This disease not only posed a significant health risk, but also carried severe social stigma, isolating him from others and rendering him an outcast. Despite his power and influence, Naaman found himself in a position of vulnerability, highlighting the fact that no one is above the need for healing and redemption. The turning point in Naaman's life came when a young Israelite girl who had been captured during a raid mentioned to his wife that there was a prophet in Israel who could heal him. This revelation sparked hope in Naaman's heart. Driven by desperation and a glimmer of faith, he sought permission from the king of Syria to travel to Israel. His journey was not just a physical one. It represented a quest for healing, restoration, and perhaps even humility. Upon arriving at Elisha's home, Naaman expected a grand reception befitting his status. Instead, he was met with a simple message: to wash 7 times in the Jordan River. Naaman was initially offended. He had anticipated a more elaborate process, one that would match his noble position. However, his servants gently urged him to follow the prophet's instructions. This moment was crucial, as it underscored the importance of humility and obedience to God's commands, regardless of one's social standing. When Naaman finally submerged himself in the Jordan River, he did so with a mixture of skepticism and hope. To his astonishment, after the 7th immersion, his leprosy was completely healed. His skin became as healthy as that of a young boy, and he returned to Elisha, not only grateful, but transformed. His experience emphasized that healing comes through faith and obedience, regardless of one's background or status. Naaman's story does not just end with his physical healing. It serves as a powerful lesson about the universality of God's grace. Even a foreigner, an enemy of Israel, was able to experience God's miraculous power. Naaman returned to his homeland, proclaiming the greatness of the God of Israel and his testimony became a bridge for others to understand the inclusivity of God's love and mercy. This encounter illustrates that faith can transcend boundaries, and God's healing touch is available to all who seek it earnestly. Elisha's legacy extended far beyond his earthly life, demonstrating the profound impact he had on the people around him. Even after his death, numerous miracles continued to occur, signaling that the power of God was not confined to the living prophet. One particularly striking account involves a man who had died and was being buried. In a twist of fate, the grieving friends of the deceased inadvertently placed the body in the tomb where Elisha's bones lay. As the lifeless body came in contact with the bones of Elisha, a remarkable event took place. The man was miraculously resurrected, standing up and returning to life. This astonishing occurrence sent shockwaves through the community, reaffirming the belief that God's power could transcend even death itself. The resurrection of the man was not just a testament to Elisha's prophetic authority, but also a reflection of God's promise of life and hope beyond the grave. This miracle served as a powerful reminder to the people of Israel of the enduring legacy of Elisha and the continuous presence of God's power among them. Even in death, Elisha's influence was felt, as he had been a conduit of God's miraculous works throughout his life. This event encouraged the faithful and instilled hope in those who were grieving, reminding them that death is not the end, but rather a transition to a new life through faith. Moreover, the account of the resurrection highlights the idea that God's work is not limited to a single individual. It emphasizes the belief in the collective power of faith, which can have lasting effects on future generations. The miracles that occurred after Elisha's death served to inspire those who came after him, reinforcing the idea that anyone could be an instrument of God's will. The legacy of Elisha, therefore, transcends mere historical account. It serves as an enduring testament to the continuity of God's miraculous power. His life and the subsequent events that followed his death remind believers that faith, has the potential to create ripples of transformation that can last long after a person has departed from this earthly realm. In this way, the story of Elisha continues to inspire, teaching that the impact of a faithful life can resonate through time, encouraging others to seek out and live in the power of God's love. As we reflect on the remarkable life of Elisha, it's essential to grasp the profound impact he had on those around him and the legacy he left behind. With each miracle, he not only demonstrated God's power, but also encouraged faith and obedience in the hearts of many. Can you imagine witnessing a prophet who could heal the sick, raise the dead, and even purify deadly food? Elisha's story is a testament to the extraordinary ways God intervenes in our lives. But what about us today? How can we draw inspiration from Elisha's unwavering faith? Are there areas in your life where you need a miracle? Perhaps it's a situation that feels hopeless or a challenge that seems insurmountable. Remember, just as Elisha was a vessel for God's power, we too can be instruments of his love and grace. So as we close this chapter on Elisha, let's keep the conversation going. What miracles have you experienced in your life? How has your faith been tested? And how did you respond? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Join us next time as we dive deeper into another incredible biblical story that will inspire and uplift your spirit. Stay tuned.